There's a new FPS featuring tactical gunplay, combined arms combat, and destructible buildings on the way. The game is called Wardogs. It's going to feature up to 100 player battles in a sandbox type environment that also includes base building and an in-game currency system to build out your character. But this isn't a battle royale or an extraction shooter. So let's dive into Wardogs and try to understand what this game is and isn't. But first, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, drop a comment down below with your thoughts on what the devs have to say and some of the footage here, and let's get to it. At the first sight of a new game, it's natural to start drawing comparisons. Is this like Battlefield? Is it like Squad? Is it like Arma? And I see some threads of similarities between several of these games that are currently on the market and Wardogs. Here's what the devs have to say about comparisons to Battlefield.
Wardogs is not a Battlefield killer. It's got its own identity. It's fundamentally more tactical in terms of decision making and pacing. It has higher highs due to the risk and reward nature of the cash system.
Behind you, Joe. Got him.
I know! Did I get it? Yes!
We don't want to make something that everyone else is making. We want to make something familiar but new.
The devs also seem to want to balance the hardcore milsim type experience with something more casual.
This scale should help you show them where Wardogs sits.
In Wardogs, every life matters.
Now, something missing from the scale of arcade to hardcore is Squad, but this is a notable comment because we tend to say this with Squad and that every life matters because of the ticket system that operates within the game. And I do want to draw some comparisons because Squad is a game I regularly cover. But how does Wardogs draw a value to a life?
Your loadout has a cost, which means every life has a value. So the more equipment you take in, the more death can hurt.
Wardogs has no squad spawn system, so you can't just respawn on your friends. You have to make your way back to them.
So there's two things right now that they're saying make your life valuable. That's the cash that you have for your loadout, that you spend on your loadout, which feels similar to an extraction shooter. We naturally want to hold on to the things that we purchase in game that we run with so that we can maintain it. Simultaneously, it seems like death can separate you from your squad, which I hope there's some form of rally system in place. But let's talk a little bit more about the cash system. Each life, you'll have $10,000 to spend to build your loadout. Everything you do with regards to working with your team should contribute to rewards in cash. And that cash persists from match to match. So it looks like the more team play you do, the more money you have, and the more influential you can be on a round because then you can afford the better gear or a vehicle. And this is where the sandbox element of the game probably shines through the most because you can play the way you want to play, earn the money you want to do, and then focus on things that you want to focus on. For example, ferrying supplies to your teammates by helicopter, maybe getting a tank or another vehicle. But my only concern is I don't know if this cash system necessarily supports teamwork throughout the round. Once you have the cash that you need, or if you come in with the cash since it's persistent, what's to stop you from just doing your own lone wolf stuff? Does that really promote a ton of teamwork? Or do I just end up doing the same thing that I want to do each time with or without my team? The proposed cash and currency system in the game goes pretty deep. We're talking gold exchange, black market. You can operate your own side hustle. Some of this is about exchanging currency to gold to buy skills that may actually separate new players from veteran players just because you're continuing to play the game. Now, as I've indicated, there's a variety of ways to make money that can contribute to some of these things like challenges or wagers. In the most recent dev blog, they even discussed basically operating your own business to generate income while supplying your teammates with resources. The interesting thing about this is you're constantly working to build money if you choose to. It's not a requirement. But that brings up an important question.
Will there be a cash shop and ways to buy in-game money with real money? Fuck no.
No. The answer is no.
This is one of those questions that pops in your head first when you start hearing about in-game currency. Like I said, it's pretty in-depth, and I want to focus more on the gameplay. So let's talk a little bit about the game mode. So while Wardogs features 100 players, they're actually divided over 3 different teams. This is inspired by King of the Hill from Arma. 3 teams will be fighting over randomized control zones. The team with the most players within control zones earn points. The first team to reach 100 points wins the match.
Right from the start, we knew we had to collaborate and work with the original founders of the King of the Hill mod, Sumatra and Roid Rage. We're trying to take that secret sauce from the game mode and bring it to a wider audience.
So obviously Arma tends to lean more heavy in milsim, and it's kind of interesting that a game that wants to feature a more casual experience than that is taking a mode from it and expanding upon it. Now, if you think the control zones will get dull, check out the hot zone.
You can opt to chase down the hot zone, a moving subzone within the larger control zone that pays out double cash when inside it. Whilst within this hot zone, players also count as double towards their players' team count, meaning you have the potential to swing the outcome of a match and influence explosive firefights with the game's more competitive players.
I'm very curious to see how this hot zone area tends to play out during rounds. Let's jump over to roles, which is a typical thing featured in a lot of these types of games.
XP is earned across 6 progression tracks and unlocks access to purchasing additional items for your loadout at the in-match vendor.
XP and roles allow you to customize your experience and what you want to do in the game. So maybe you want to be a tanker, a helicopter pilot, or whatever. That customized experience can happen within Wardogs. But how can you play with your friends?
Squad sizes in Wardogs are unlimited, so no friend ever gets left out when you're trying to decide what games to play in your evenings.
That's kind of interesting that it's unlimited in size, but it also can be locked per the devs. Additionally, it looks like there will be squad chat and proximity chat available, so you can actually chat with your enemies. And one of the other things I think we should discuss, because it is an FPS, is gunplay.
Wardogs has realistic gunplay. Bullet drop, penetration, ricocheting bullets, we have a lot.
Gunplay for a lot of people is the end-all be-all of whatever an FPS is going to be. Now, I haven't played Wardogs to experience this myself, but it does seem as though the gunplay feels a little bit more arcadey than something like Squad. So while it seems a little bit more relaxed than some games may portray gunplay, I don't know that it's as arcadey as something like Battlefield. That may actually take some in-game time. So now that we've covered a bunch of the stuff that the devs have talked about in some of their YouTube content, let's go over a couple things that they answered in questions. First of all, this is going to be a server browser-based game. There will be no skilled matchmaking. And while the game is expected to release on Steam in early access, there are plans to hopefully get it out to PS5 and Xbox. In the dev Q&A, they also said that the early access period is expected to last 1 to 2 years. A lot of features with the cache system and some of the metagame elements are also things that they intend to release during early access or later towards full release. Now, in their most recent video talking about early access and beyond, they do reference Squad and Hell Let Loose as 2 other games that kind of fit in this market. While Squad and Hell Let Loose are not milsim games, they fit in between that arcade and milsim experience. And no, I don't expect it to be a killer Battlefield, but I do expect it to compete directly with something like Squad and other modern FPS games. The devs have expressed interest in trying to fit within that niche and appealing to not necessarily everybody, but the players that enjoy this type of game. And part of what they're referencing with Hell Let Loose and Squad is the community size and how they want to fit in that area with a community as strong as those. So there's a lot here that sounds pretty cool and fun and interesting to try. I mean, I like some of the ideas around what they're implementing into the game. I think the cache system is interesting. I don't know that it's going to support as much teamwork. I could see people isolating themselves just to generate money for future rounds. There seems to be a lot of ideas about how currency will work in the metagame sort of experience around the gameplay. And I have one concern about that is just understanding how much content they intend to release versus spending as much time building all of these other systems. Like, how often should we expect to see additions to the game in terms of new maps, maybe more game modes, more vehicles, or whatever, versus having the black market and stuff like that? Then how does stuff like that tend to affect the player base when it comes to a veteran player versus a new player? How does that end up balancing out? Well, veteran players just make it hard for new players to get into the game, basically. Now, the last thing I'm going to bring up is performance, because right now that's such a big issue across just about every game, it seems. And given how much is going on here, this is no exception. You have 100 players playing in a Destructible world. How is performance? And that'll be the big question heading into playtesting, which I think is supposed to happen sometime this year. And I believe the devs said that they are hoping to get early access available later this year. Now, as many of you know, I cover a lot of Squad content, but this game kind of piqued my interest when I saw some videos of it because I'm curious to see how it does. So as always, let me know your thoughts on the video and the game. And if you'd like to see more content on it down in the comments below, hit the subscribe button and of course, leave a like, and I'll catch you all next time.